Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. And today's topic is about the business continuity planning. So if you're like me, you might have experienced the need for business continuity in the last 1 year because many people were um, working from home. They were forced to work from home, and some businesses it was not available. I'm sorry, I was getting a chat message. So before I continue further, I just wanted to let you know that I am open for question and answers. You can use the Q&A option or the chat option. You can send the questions and I will be attending them, answering them as we go on. So as I mentioned, today's topic is Cyber Security Awareness Month, Business Continuity Planning. So what exactly is business continuity? Business continuity is not about data backup. That's something I wanted to make very clear. When we are talking about information technology, many times that's a wrong concept. That business continuity is about data backup. Data backup is definitely one of the components, but that's not all. Let's see, what are the common disasters? There are natural as well as man-made. Natural is, of course, earthquake, and we all know that we experienced that in the last 1.5 years. A pandemic is a disaster. We experienced it just like earthquake, fire, flood, negligence. There is some negligence happening in the business. That is one of them, and deliberate. Somebody set fire, somebody damage the computer, somebody wipe out the data, or any of these can be an example for deliberate man-made actions. So let's go further. What is the impact on businesses? As I mentioned earlier, can a business survive by just backing up data? I'm being an IT person, I would say that, okay, backup is very important, but why is that the only thing? No, data is essential, but you need much more than that. What if the building is flooded or building caught fire, the electrical circuit got fire, the air conditioning is damaged? Any of these can be some sort of impact on the business. And employees are either forced to go home or don't know how to open the business. This is where the planning need to take place. That is something which beforehand. So where do we begin? You have to have a communication plan that need to be set up. It should be documented, and all the customers, your customers as well as vendors, must be informed in advance. So, okay, this is how it is going to be. And are you ready for an IT disaster that is specific to information technology? That is the computers, servers, your data backup, all these. What if something happens to the IT piece of it? Are you going to operate under all these circumstances, even if something happens? So how are you going to operate it? The key is document it first, test it, find the gaps, retest again, and fix it finally. And it should be an ongoing process. I can give you an example from my experience. Last year, before this pandemic happened, we had, as a small IT company in San Jose, we had developed a business continuity plan. We kind of tested it, but it was not very sure if it is going to work. What we did was, finally, we decided, okay, something big is happening, we need to test it. So in the last week of February and early week of March, we decided, okay, we are going to run it as if we are facing a disaster. Everybody take their laptops and voice over IP phone, we have the phones, take it home, start working from home for a week. The first few days was really troublesome, but our systems were set up such that we could work from home. So we tested it, we came back to office, and 1 week later, again, that's when the government declared, okay, shelter in place. So that's how we tested our plan. And develop a communication plan. How will you ensure your employees are safe during a disaster? If there is a flood, are you going to how are you going to check with your employees if they are safe? You have to communicate essential information to employees following an event. After an event happened, how are you going to communicate, hey, what is needed? In the case of an emergency or an earthquake, for example, your cell phones probably are going not to go into work because the traffic is going to be so high. Their infrastructure may not be able to take that capacity. So it may not be an easy task to communicate using the cell phone. So please keep that in mind. Cell phone is not an alternative. It is an alternative, but it is not the ultimate. So there should be some other plans in place. Make sure all employees' contact information are current, and that is going to have multiple copies in different places where your business owners can get track of, and designate as one employee as the first caller. So if anything happens, this is the one who is going to be getting the first, and then he can spread the word around to other employees. Another thing is clients and customers informed, as well as the vendors. This is critical for an ongoing business success. If you're forced to shut down your office, you need to let them know, your customers, if there is a foot traffic in your business, you need to let the customers know that, okay, we are going to close. So that is very important. Same for incoming communication as well. Any mail, you have to find a way to get access to the mail or the package which you are going to receive from FedEx, UPS, and all that. These need to be kept track of. Now let's come to IT disaster. How long you can survive without your data? Big question. If you are running a data on your computer or on a server, how long you can survive without your data? If you're an accounting firm, all your accounting files are in some place and you need to have constant access to them. Have you planned for that? Have you addressed a change management as part of the mission critical recovery objective? What is change management? So if there is any change in the process, procedures, how are you communicating that to top to bottom employees? If there is a change, you need to record it. Have you recently updated your run book? If you haven't heard the term run book is one of the Bible which we follow. Every customer has to have a run book that shows all the critical information related to infrastructure is recorded in that run book. It is not a one-time book. It is a constant living book. So that is every time there is change, you get it updated. So have you tested the disaster recovery capabilities and ability to fail back? So if there is a plan, you need to make sure that there is a plan B, depending on the size of the business and the criticality of the business, you need to have a plan B as well. Next is continue operating however possible. IT downtime is one of the factors, but you need to make sure that the facilities have power, the phone system, security system, all these in place. And you need to make sure that there is a business insurance. Your business insurance is covering the disaster recovery piece as well. And normally if you don't have a business insurance, it is time to talk to your insurance agent. Most of the business insurance have some sort of coverage, but that's not enough. So make sure that you have sufficient coverage for your disaster recovery. Training. All employees must be trained. They need to know what exactly are they expected to do in case of a disaster, whether it is an assembly place outside the building or some other mode of communication. You need to communicate that and train people for a disaster. Again, I cannot reiterate more. Test, test, and retest. This is one of the last and most important crucial step in business disaster recovery plan. If you already don't have a business disaster recovery plan, it is time to start preparing one. There are plenty of templates available. If you don't have one, feel free to contact us. We are happy to share ours with you. There is a template. Fill in the information, go through that multiple times. It's not a one-time job. It is a constant living document. You need to update that constantly. And thank you for watching. And if there are any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. So if there are no questions, we will wind it up here. See you again next week. Next week, we are going to talk about ransomware, which is one of the worst case of cyber attack, which most of the businesses are facing right now. And today's winner is, for the $25 gift card, Amazon gift card, is Dan Winter. Thanks, Dan, for attending. I will see you all again next week. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm assuming that, oh, there is one question. So, all right, Huang asked, so Dilip, what you say is to prepare well ahead, and prevention is always best. Yes, very good point. Prevention is always best, but you need to have the planning in place. You know, there are some inevitable, however hard you try to prevent a fire, you cannot. Wildfire can happen if it depends on the location. Building electrical circuit can go get fire. It can, the rainy season is coming, flood, it's another thing. All these can happen. So there is no way you can envision everything and prepare it in advance. If the power is shut down, you can definitely have some sort of backup power, but that is only one piece of the puzzle. So that need to be listed in your disaster recovery plan. Many of the big organizations have their own power generators so that they can fall back on the power in case something is needed. The critical thing is, there is no point in having a generator sitting idle. You need to turn it on once in a while to make sure that it works. So that is very important. So it's not when the power fails. You need to have that tested in advance, and there should be a routine checklist for going through the power up of the generator, power down, how to switch back. And in many of the IT companies' cases, what they have is multiple locations. So if there is one location in the Bay Area, as you know, there are chances of earthquake here. So they need to have a second fallback location somewhere else, which is not earthquake prone area. So that is where you need to plan all these. Prevention is always best, but that's not the only option which you have. You have to have multiple options, multiple solutions tested and verified. Thanks for asking the question. So if you have any other questions, if you don't think of anything right now, you can always email me at info@veltecnetworks.com. That is shown in the slide. And thanks again for joining today, and we will meet you next week. Thank you.